Yo! What's up, GameLeapers? Coach Jizz is back again with another red hot upload, and if you want to know what Riot has in store for the 11.4 patch, which is only a week away, then this video is all you need. I'm going to be breaking down in detail all of the champion buffs, the champion nerfs, the item buffs, the item nerfs, how these will affect the meta, and whether it will be worth playing these champions in the near future. Now, there are so many changes, so as we go through them, I want you to tell me which change you are most excited about. Now, to master any of the champions on the list, or to just reach your max potential on the Rift, please do yourself a favor and check out our amazing GameLeap website for exclusive, fresh, challenger level content that is unmatched. Links as always in the description and comment section. Now we're going to kick this video off by talking about the biggest champion deletion in history. In other words, this champ is getting nerfed so much, they might as well be deleted. So in 11.4 guys, Samira is getting gutted. And I know lots of players are going to be happy about this, but she's fun, she's unique, and there is counterplay, believe it or not. And what makes it harder to swallow, is the fact she's not even the best AD carry. So here's what Riot are nerfing. You will no longer be able to dash to allies, and this is massive. This doesn't just mean your support or teammate, this includes minions as well. So if you commit to a 1v1 or a turret dive, there is no getting out. For every kill you get, you will die for it. Now this really sucks and makes Samira way less viable as an AD carry, and even in solo lanes where she can potentially be picked. Like if you get ganked after your support engages, or if you engage, where are you meant to dash to? Your options are so limited. If you run, you still die. If you go in with your support, you die as well. Now Riot didn't think this was enough and reduced your E's dash speed, so it takes more time to complete. This means you lose out on a bit of damage because you're too busy finishing off your E animation, and also means you're more exploitable for a jungler, for a heavy CC support. You don't have as much mobility. Now Riot still aren't done, there's more. Your Blade Well's duration is 25% shorter, which again means you're more exploitable, and your ultimate cooldown will be 8 seconds and not 3, so you can't use this multiple times during team fights. In saying that though, one ultimate is usually all you need, so no real issue here. Now there are two more changes to Samira, and notice how I said changes. Your Q's damage ratio is down at earlier ranks, but stronger at rank 4 and 5. And seeing as you max Q first, this 10% extra AD is actually big in terms of damage, and that's what separates the cream of the crop to the rest. Now something similar is also happening to your passive. So the bonus damage you get when in melee form is lower at earlier levels, but higher the later the game goes. So these changes will make you focus on scaling, and in terms of damage you're actually better off. But yeah, the real low blow here is the dash nerf, and I want you to tell me in the comments what you think about all of this. It just seems giga overkill. Now I'm going to stay in the bot lane and talk about another AD carry who is arguably the best on the Rift at the moment, and she's actually the most popular champion too. Thankfully though, if you're a Kai'Sa main, you're not getting the Samira treatment. So Riot are nerfing your Q's base damage and its damage to an isolated target, and I hate to say it, but this is one of the few good nerfs Riot have in store. You know, it's not very fun to walk up to a Kai'Sa and they press one ability and oh, there goes half your health. So this was expected, and the good news for all you Kai'Sa fans is you're keeping a lot of the damage anyway, so you won't have to change your playstyle or what you max, everything will be the same. Now I want to draw your attention to two item buffs that will improve the marksman class in 11.4, and one in particular will be very happy indeed. So Riot are buffing the attack speed in Ginsu's Rageblade and the AD Immortal Reminder. So the Ginsu's buff, for 2800 gold you get 5% more attack speed. Nice. If you're a Kog'Maw player or a Vayne that likes Ginsu's into Bork, you'll have a smile on your face. And yeah, more AD in the Reminder is good for everyone, but for Senna, these buffs will have the biggest impact because Ginsu's Senna is by far the best way to go about building her, and Mortal Reminder is a typical 4th item too. Now it may not make her S+ tier along with Jhin, Kai'Sa and Vayne, but she'll be very close. Okay, now let's head to the top lane, and I found where the 2 seconds from Mordekaiser's E went, into Camille's W. Right, now I know lots of people were asking for Riot to nerf Camille's Q true damage, because later in the game, yeah, it's like a Cho'Gath ultimate, but instead they have nerfed her W's cooldown. Now it may not seem like much, but this hurts your early game. Like Camille's early laning phase, whether you want to believe it or not, is certainly not the best. For instance, if you start W, which is what you should be doing in most matchups, the enemy now has a 17-second window to punish you. Yes, it will still be banging head on desk time in the late game when Camille one-shots you with her Q, but this nerf does mean something. And let's not forget, most of Camille's items got nerfed last patch too. Now another bruiser on the chopping block, and this one doesn't make much sense, if any, any, and that's Renekton. Now Renekton in solo queue has had less than a 50% win rate throughout Season 11, and Riot deem it fit to nerf your Q healing from minions. Now the positive out of this is that it doesn't affect your out of lane team fighting, so around Barons and Dragons, but it does affect your ability to trade in lane in 1v2. After the item nerfs last patch, this just seems whack. Right, let's change the mood up and focus on a couple of top laners getting buffed in 11.4. Now after nerfing her 3 core items, Gorge Drinker, Ravenous Hydra and Sterix Gauge, Riot are buffing Fiora's vital damage, and honestly this sounds great. Like Camille, I know there are lots of top laners who can't stand Fiora, but she was underperforming big time. This puts her back into play and is warranted because you don't really get much AD from your build anymore. Like Death Stance used to give 70 AD, Ravenous Hydra used to give 80, so I think this is a legit change. Alright, the last bruiser we have to talk about, guys, for top lane is another that causes a lot of commotion each time a change comes around, and this time is no different. So Riot are giving Tryndamere more base damage, and like most of these buffs and nerfs, seems unfounded. Like Tryndamere's early game isn't his weakness, and he doesn't need extra base AD. His late game is where he struggles because of the critical strike changes, and the fact that other top laners like Camille and Fiora outscale him. So you might get an extra kill or two in the first few levels, but as the game progresses, it will be just as hard. Right, let's head to the mid lane, and there are a ton of buffs we have to get into here, and if you're enjoying the video so far, let us know by smashing that like button like pro guys do our videos with ads. So let's start by talking about the incoming Talon buffs, and these are proper huge. So your W cooldown is lower at later ranks, and the damage ratio on the first part of your rake is higher. Now the shorter cooldown means you have more harass and better wave clear, and the damage ratio gives you a reason to max W first. As Talon, one of your big issues is wave clearing, so this helps you out in that department. Mana will still be an issue, but 11.4 is looking prime time. Now the other mid laner getting buffed directly is a burst mage who feels a bit out of place because the Hextech GLP and Glacial Augment combo are no longer a thing, and that's Veigar. So it will cost less mana to use your Q at earlier levels, and your R's cooldown is lower at level 11 and 16. Now what will this change? Barely anything, but there is an item buff that might help. So Cosmic Drive is getting a new passive. So instead of granting only movement speed, it's granting 20 ability haste as well, provided you have 160 AP. Now 160 AP is easy to attain. Make sure you have Adaptive Force in your runes, and then just build Luden's Tempest, Leandra's Anguish, or Everfrost with Cosmic Drive, and you get access to 40 ability haste in total. Now speaking of Everfrost, this item is getting buffed too. So its active's cast time is quicker and deals more damage, and it now builds out of Kindle Gem as well and offers 250 health, not just 200. Now there is one champion that I think will be turbo OP because of these buffs, and that's Kassadin. So if you're a Cass main or you want a mid laner for free low in 11.4, there won't be many better. Oh, and I almost forgot that if you thought anti-healing items weren't good enough after the recent changes, well, Riot are giving Morellonomicon 10 more AP, and remember this is just 2500 gold, so mages are even happier, and they are also giving Chempunk Chainsword 100 more health. So if you're a Zed or a Talon, I mean especially Talon mains 11.4, you can't really ask for more. Now let's head back to the bot lane because we have to talk about 3 ADC buffs that are on their way. So for Caitlyn, your AD per level is up 0.5 and your attack speed per level is up 0.5%. Now these are very small and won't help you compete with the meta AD carries at the moment, and one comment on Reddit made me laugh pretty hard describing these changes. I like the idea of scaling buffs, but they are nudging her so slowly, like in Happy Gilmore when he is just tap it in and takes 4 butts to go in. Yeah, got a good giggle out of me, that one. Now Riot are also buffing Jinx. I mean, they're just reverting the health nerf from 11.3, and this will help you survive lane. But like the Caitlyn buffs, won't do enough to enable Jinx to go toe-to-toe with the big hitters. Now the last ADC buff for 11.4 is Baris, and these are actually big. So essentially, the longer you charge your Q for after you activate your W, the more damage that piercing arrow is going to deal. So for lethality Varus, this is unreal and stops you from falling off so hard late game. But the question is whether these will bring Varus back from the brink. Maybe. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Now we've got a couple more huge changes to go over, and before we do, one last friendly reminder to check out the GameLeap website at the end of this video for all your league needs. If you need more Jizz, if you need more Elo, if you need improvement, then what are you waiting for? Get signed up, links down below. Alright, we're going to stay in the bot lane, guys, and talk about one of the system nerfs Riot are implementing in 11.4. So the Spellcaster Mythic Moonstar Renewer, well, its base heal is down at earlier levels, but this isn't that big of a nerf simply because you don't get Moonstone until around level 8 to 10, let's say on average. So the best best spellcasting supports like Seraphine and Lulu will only be slightly worse off, but for those champions like Sona and Karma, this is kind of unnecessary unless Riot buff them to compensate for it. In fact, they are actually buffing one of these enchantresses, and that's Soraka. So your W's base heal is up by 10, and the movement speed bonus you get after you land your Q is up by 5% at each rank too. So against the Moonstone and newer nerf, this will keep Soraka in the mix, but the most dominant supports right now are those hard engages because they work so well with the best AD carries. So Thresh, Leona, Rel, it's still going to be very hard to just go even in lane. Now speaking of these hard engaged supports, one of them who hasn't really seen any play since the preseason is getting some love. So Braum's R is decreasing by 20 seconds at each rank, and this means something at all elos for sure. You know, in chaotic games where everyone is perma fighting, you throw out more ultimates, but this isn't why Braum is D tier. Other supports just do his job better, and there's not enough in his kit. It feels underwhelming, like maybe increasing your W range or making it so your E blocks the first projectile, like a Thresh hook or Morgana biting. That sounds useful. But yeah, you can just play Alistar, you can play Gragas, you can play Galio, and you have a better chance of winning. Alright, now the last set of changes we have to dive into are affecting the jungle role. So whether you're Iron 4 or Rank 1, if you dabble in jungling, then it is essential you listen up. So the second and last system nerf Riot are throwing out is to the jungle, and they are nerfing the golden experience you gain from 3 camps. So Gromp and the Toad will also be healthier, Krugs and Raptors. Now this isn't as bad as it seems. You still hit level 4 after full clearing, and you still hit level 3 after doing 2 buffs and Gromp. The issue here though is that the weaker junglers right now who struggle to clear camps like Kindred, Shaco, Zac will be even worse off. And fast clearing junglers like Graves, Fiddlesticks, Karthus, these will be prioritized even more. So it does nothing for champion diversity, and if anything will discourage players from picking the role, which is what Riot wanted to fix. If you're a jungle main, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now there are 3 junglers that are getting changed, and we'll start with the buffs, and these are coming to Lee Sin and Amumu. So Lee Sin, your Q's cooldown is decreasing by a second at each rank, and this is great. You can clear quicker, you have better dueling, and with Gore Drinker, which gives you ability haste via its stats and mythic passive, you will be throwing these out left, right, and center like it's an nerf. Now for Amumu, your E's base damage is higher at later ranks, and if you max this, yeah, it will help your clear, but nowhere near enough to make anyone consider playing the mummy. Again, there are other junglers that clear 10 times faster, so this doesn't change anything. Amumu will still be bad. And sad. Now the third jungler and final champion and change lined up for 11-4 is a nerf that's coming to the highest win rate champion in the game right now, and that's Skarner. So your base health is a little lower, same with your health per level. Is this a big deal? No, you might be a little lower after clearing your camps, but Skarner will still be a top pick because the synergy you have with Turbo Chem Tank is all still there, and yeah, his win rate will still be near the top, if not the #1. That's all for the 11-4 preview, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to let me know what you think of the changes in the comments. Also remember to subscribe and turn on all notifications if you haven't already. This has been Coach Cheese, and until tomorrow's upload, peace.